So Arun, is it okay to start?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, welcome Arun to start your talk. About maximum 30 minutes, but it's okay as you like. Please explain your introduction. Yes, thank you. Please start.
Thank you so much, sir. So my name is Arun VB. I am here with Barun Mahaldar. We are MSc Digital Humanities students from Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Takafumi Matsumaru, Professor Kamata, and Professor Hashimoto, along with the Institute of Waseda, for for providing us an opportunity to present a brief introduction on digital humanities. So in this slide, you can see on the left side, it's actually an image of Mariko Yoshida, a character from the movie The Wolverine, which was released in 2013. And on the right side, it's actually Yoshimitsu, who is a character from the fighting game Tekken. Both are a popular culture representation of samurais, you can see, as actually represented. But the issue with this representation is that they are not actually adhering to the historical or cultural significance of Japan or the history of samurai itself. So there exists a problem. So problem is of the misrepresentation of samurais, and we need to ensure that their portrayal in popular culture is more historically accurate. So our concern is there a solution for that to historically accurately represent the samurai culture? Yes, we do have a solution. And the solution is to create your own popular culture materials using verifiable historical records, like Haley Price did. So Haley Price is a PhD student at Brown University who is like doing PhD in history and who is also working in the area of digital humanities. So these type of problems will be addressed by the discipline digital humanities. So what Miss Price do? So Miss Price actually created a video game. So using the digital tool called Twine. So the name of the game is Death and Taxes, Death and Tokugawa Samurai. So you could actually please refer to this QR code to the website, which actually allows you to play the game online. And you will be able to like see how the game works. So in this path, Miss Price actually referred to the work of the historian Constantine Vaporis. He is well known for his like researches in the area of Japan and Japanese history. So the game has 5 parts. The first part is actually the player should assume the role of a samurai living in the Tokugawa period, who is a very struggling samurai. So it's actually the end of Tokugawa period. It's actually the samurais don't have the legacy which they actually carried in the Shogun period. So they're actually struggling to survive itself. So they have to like balance their budget, survive their family, and in that way they should not actually like lose their pride too. Samurai has a pride, and they also have to sustain their family. So this dilemma of family and pride is actually the struggle the game is actually representing, which is actually very historically accurate. So the game is all about the ethics, the logic of pride and financial stability, and whether you as a samurai is able to manage between these two faculties. If you are actually able to do manage, you will win the game. Otherwise, you will lose. So this game has been developed as part of the Japan lab, which is actually like curated by University of Texas at Austin. So as we have mentioned, DH is not about just creating video games. You could actually create timelines, virtual heritage, and social media related projects through the intersection of digital humanities. And by scanning this QR code, you will be able to visit this Japan Lab website and will be able to know more about digital humanities projects and how this game is actually created. So this is a screenshot from the game. So it's actually created by using the tool Twine. So it will arise a question: will you sell your sword? So you could actually choose, I will sell the sword and actually move forward. To move forward, you have to make a decision. Otherwise, you could choose other decisions. And if you sell your sword, you will get a money as a return. But in order to see doctor, if your like wife is sick, you have to like spend money of that the amount you got by selling the sword. So you could say like you paid 10 monme for doctor service and medicine. So here the samurai's sword is the symbol of samurai pride. At the same time, he is like accustomed to make the family survive. So the dilemma is actually very visible. So next, I will actually like share the mic to my friend Barun.
Uh, Hello, I hope I'm audible here. So, one second. Yes. So, digital humanities, as introduced by Arun right now, uh, uh, in the context of Japanese history and culture, must have been interesting. Now, let's try to look at digital humanities a little objectively in terms of definitions, in terms of like simple language, right? So here is a scholarly definition of digital humanities, where it's defined as a heterogenic field of research between IT, cultural studies, and humanities in general, right? So you see that it's very interdisciplinary in nature. There are like these intersections between different disciplines coming together to to create new objects, new cultural materials, or to solve new problems. And to look at it in even simpler way, it's nothing but scholars or skills from different disciplines coming together to solve problems or discover something new. Just like how some of the beloved characters from the manga or the anime One Piece do in their adventures, right? So it's something similar to that. But let's look at it a little more in detail. So on the left hand, you see the humanities disciplines. Some of this is not an exhaustive list, of course, but these are some of the most popular fields within digital humanities that takes into account. And on the other hand, you have these technology or digital tools in some form or other coming into play. And when you use these technologies to conduct research or elevate humanities areas to new heights, you effectively are doing digital humanities, right? So this is how it goes. Now, this is an example of a digital humanities project in overseas, where we tend to do a lot of social media analysis, right? So this is a social network analysis done in Twitter, where the DX scholars in Twitter were categorized into different ways. And the image that you see on the right shows the English-speaking DH users in white, of course. The blue one is in French and the yellow one is in Spanish. Now, the significance of this study shows how predominantly DH is English speaking, right? And this brings up a different question as to whether their DH is similar to the DH done in Japan, or whether their DH is similar to the way we Indians do DH. So the answers are very different, right? Yeah. So that brings us to the next question, whether there are like just one way of doing DH or there are multiple ways of doing DH, right? So far we have seen using technology, conduct and using it in the realm of humanities and elevating humanities to another level, and using tools to bring an objective result within humanities. There is some data driven technical inquiry, right? But is that all there is to digital humanities? The answer is no, really, because it can be flipped on the other way as well, where you use theories, popular philosophical theories, popular sociological theories from digital humanities, and you can develop a critical understanding of the digital technologies around us. So some of the examples that posted here are game studies. So game studies is nothing that you take popular games from mainstream culture or indie games, and you look at it critically using philosophical theories or historical theories, right? So this is another way of looking at DH. And then there is ethics and AI, which is a very popular field right now. Discourses are going on, very important discussions are going on. And then you also have public policy and technology, where areas like sociology comes in really handy when you're trying to actually implement technology in very contested areas.
Next, let's try to look at a DH project which happened in Japan. So it's actually titled Deciphering Kuhon, a DH project on the lost Yugo Shonin Engi Imaki, and was actually organized as part of JIDH. JIDH is actually Japanese Association for Digital Humanities, and in 2021 they organized the a international conference. So we have selected a paper from that conference to give you an example. So it's actually, as you know, imakis are actually like scrolls, the picture scrolls of Ippen Shonin. Ippen Shonin was actually a Japanese Buddhist itinerant preacher who is actually known for his the G sect of Buddhism. So what they did was actually the researchers actually selected the imakis and tried to see whether the imagi is actually created by a single person or whether there were different artists who were brought together to create a single scroll. And the research found that has found that the masters and assistant painters were working together. So how will we actually find that it's not actually created by a single person and a master is there and there are actually assistants for him? So what they did was actually they separated the entire scroll into 3 groups. 3 groups is based on similarity. This is similarity A, similarity B, similarity C. So based on the similarity, and they were able to identify there were 3 different styles. So 3 different styles means 3 group of people would have been collaborated. So this is one of their this method was actually used by geometric morphometric method, and it's a very useful method, not just for actually identifying pictures, and we will actually talk about its uses in the coming points. So it is actually clear that there existed 3 different types of artworks, and GM method can also be applied to soils. So identifying different varieties of soils, whether there were difference in buildings, and whether there were difference in tools. Imagine that different type of tools used by samurais. So whether they all use a same kind of swords. So we could actually identify the differences using the GM method by analyzing and comparing it. And not just these tools, we could also compare human beings' faces and how and the paintings of human beings made based on their how they shaded the background, how they shaded the dress. So it's actually very growing discipline, and it's actually very productive project we have been seeing here.
All right. So now that we have seen digital humanities in some capacity in the Japanese context once again, and going back to the social media analysis that we had previously seen, where the English way of doing DH may not be the same as Japanese way of doing DH, and may not be the same as DH in India. So let me just quickly give you an overview how DH is actually in India as well. Right. So it's mostly taught by humanities scholars with the addition of faculties mostly from the area of literature, from the area of sociology, coupled with certain subjects from the technical side as well. We had machine learning courses, we had C, C++, and so on. And when it comes to predominant projects in terms of digital humanities in India, it's mostly archiving projects. It could be projects that are related to literature of a Nobel laureate or ancient textbooks. They are all, undergoing these archiving processes through DH in India. And yeah, so that brings me to the next slide, where I'll briefly talk about Rabindranath Tagore, who is the first non-European Nobel laureate to ever win, the Nobel Prize in Literature. And since 1916, he has been also traveling to Japan quite a few times, like around 4 times, right? And his work has to deal with the Bengali literature, where the Bengali language is spoken in some of the eastern parts of India, as you can see here. And it's also the mother tongue of the entire country of Bangladesh as well. So our country owes a huge deal to this great man. Yeah. So the archiving project that I was talking about deals with his works, Rabindranath Tagore's Bengali literature. And this project is called Vichitra. This is one of the first very important landmark DH projects in India, and its features are amazing. I mean, it can do some of the following characteristics. So it has more than 40,000 pages of manuscripts and more than 90,000 pages of printed books and journals. So it becomes of a huge help to literary scholars in the Bengali language, or scholars of Rabindranath Tagore, right? And it also has a search engine to locate words and phrases in Rabindranath's works. So if someone wants to look at his work in relation to Japan, he has written some works in relation to Japan. You could just quickly search it, and then it also has a collation. It also has a collation engine to compare different versions. So the comparison also becomes a very important tool for scholars of Rabindranath Tagore. Yeah. So now we come to some of the last slides of this presentation, where as Professor Matsumura had shown you the video on game-based learning. So this is where we have made some reflections as digital humanities students, right? And how this crosses over, how digital humanities could cross over with game-based learning. So, so there are 4 characteristics here. One is to produce culturally and locally relevant educational content. So when we are teaching a new language, it often tends to be in the cultural context of that language, which we really don't want to do with the game that we are creating. We would like to teach them English, but use very local context, their local geographies, local animals in the teaching materials, so that it's more rich. It's the learning experience is more rich, right? So the next one. Okay, so empowering broader participation by lowering barriers to game creation. So game creation is quite often very intimidating. It is very resource intensive. It requires top-notch hardware and software, and mainstream games have been doing that quite often. But when it comes to educational games, we could really leverage accessible technologies, low-cost technologies that could allow teachers to create games of their own as well. Because one thing that we have to be very mindful of when we are creating a game-based learning platform is that we are not looking forward to provide them a one-stop solution so that they work within that boundary. That's not what we are trying to do. We are also trying to give away this freedom to teachers and students to create their own materials within the video game. And this is where we come full circle in the presentation as well, where Haley Price made her own video game, right? So these kind of accessible technologies, that idea of access itself for design factors for children. So when it comes to creating games, once again, especially educational games, a lot of times we see some of the most important UI UX factors missing from it, and we really don't want children to interact with interfaces that are not rich in UI UX, right? Because when we deal with children, we can't assume things, like we just cannot do that. So we really want to imbibe these advanced UI UX factors when creating games, so that they have a richer experience just by interacting with the game itself, apart from learning. Learning is something that we are focusing on, of course, but design is something that we really need to keep in mind when creating educational games, which in most cases it's lacking as of now. And so the last point is moving beyond uncritical application of technology. So this is where the humanities aspect comes in when creating games for education, right? Because what we are trying to do is we are trying to deploy these technologies in remote rural areas where resources are very, they are where electricity is an issue, where basic amenities like tables are missing. So we just can't develop this sustainable technology and expect it to work, right? So we have to be very wary when we deploy these kind of technologies, and we should not have a perspective in terms of techno-positivism as well. Techno-positivism means like just using technology solves problems. So it's not like that. So that is it. That is our presentation. So, thank you.
Thank you, Arun.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for your talk. Hi. Yes, it's time to question and answers. So therefore, do you have some question, or if you cannot understand clearly, please ask more detailed explanation about some part. It is also okay. So please give some questions. Please show some, raise your hand or something.
Maybe if no, I can start.
Yes, please, Hashimoto
Okay.
Sensei.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, Arun and Barun. So I understand that you will be using game elements for learning English. Thanks for the collaboration project. But I couldn't understand how, what is the specific examples of game-based learning in the field of the in the field of the digital humanities. So if you have some specific example of game-based learning, could you show us a little bit?
You will say. It's open.
Okay. So I hope I'm audible. In terms of so the central idea of digital humanities is to create materials that are accessible to people, right? So the example that we initially showed you, the example of Haley Price, is such an example. So Arun talked about a tool called Twine. So if you look up at Twine, Twine is a narrative-based game creation tool, which anyone with just internet could use. And a lot of scholars from digital humanities tend to use Twine as a way of teaching, whether it is ethics or language itself. So I don't know if I can show you an example right now, but there's a very popular scholar called Shobik Mukherjee, who works in the area of game studies. So what he did was he used this Twine, this narrative game-based tool, to teach ethics to business school students, right? So that is an example of how DH could cross over with game-based learning, in my opinion.
Okay, maybe I slightly understand about that. Okay, could you again explain about the wine? Wine is
Wine. It's Wine. TWINE. It's actually a digital tool. I think I have actually I will once again show the QR code. I think you will be able to scan it.
okay. QR code.
Or I will
Screen share the page.
so, like,
Will you explain
yeah,
a little? I miss. Correct.
so this is actually the game, like you will be able to play the game here. It's actually the game like Haley Price has created.
Okay.
So it takes you to the website. The website which actually has saved the game, and you'll be able to play the game. And in that game, you will be like playing as a samurai in the Tokugawa period. You have to play like a samurai.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
And if you have a question like how to create a game like this, so you will be able to get a tutorial of creating this game. So sir, please, yeah, you are scanning, right?
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. I could.
No, please.
Say.
Please.
Yes. Okay.
So if you want to know how to create this game, you will be able to find this tutorial in the website given below. So you will be able to scan this QR code and able to find the tutorial of how to create a game like that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Am I audible, sir?
Arun, can you demonstrate about accessing each pages and then please show the more in detail? Can you show it in your browser? Not only the PowerPoint, but also the browser you can show.
Web camera is freeze.
Web camera is not working now, so therefore the なんか address or you should
No, Arun's speaker is mute now. The microphone.
So there was internet issue. So sorry.
なんかby using your browser, can you show the actual website of this? Okay. Here is you. Yes. Thank you, Wan-san.
Yes.
Yeah. So this page is present link side you should show. Okay. Yes, digital humanities, for example. Yes, this page. Yeah, not only here, but all of you can access from this chat pages link, and then you can access to this digital humanity project teachers applications about this page.
Yes, sir.
ちょっとArun, can you access this page この、Japan Humanities site?
Yes, sir. I think I will be able to. I will show you like one slide. So
using the browser, not Canvas.
So it is visible.
Yes, visible.
So so this is a website. So in the website, it's actually called Digital Humanities. So click on the area Digital Humanities. So you'll be able to see the video games. So here is a video game. And you could go to the bottom part and you will be able to see the tutorial. So watching this tutorial, you will be able to see how the game is created.
Welcome to this tutorial series on how to make Twine stories, playable Twine games for history students. My name is Haley Price. I make educational.
So we mentioned Haley Price. So this video is created by Haley Price, who is actually doing PhD in history from Brown University, and she has created the game of the samurais we have mentioned above.
Okay, good.
Historical video games that are aiming to teach high school and mostly university students about history through interactive, engaging gameplay. So I love making video games and I love making historically accurate video games. And in this tutorial, I'm basically going to teach you how to do that through a very simple tool called Twine. So this tutorial series I'm making for Dr. Adam Clulo at UT Austin. So if you are in his Age of Samurai class, welcome. This tutorial series was made just for you guys. But if you don't know who that is and you're not taking that class and you've never heard of UT Austin, don't worry. This tutorial series hopefully also will be useful for you. But it is going to be aimed specifically at students who are studying history who want to get into game development. So it'll be useful for people who are generally interested in Twine, but it'll be specifically aimed at historians. This tutorial is also being made for Japan Lab, which is basically a group of professors at UT who are hoping to digitize or introduce more digital humanities concepts into Asian studies and Japanese history at UT Austin. So in this tutorial, you're going to learn some Twine basics. You're going to learn how to start a story, how to make it branch off into different paths so that player choices really affect gameplay. You're going to learn about variables, and you're going to learn some stuff also that's specific to history students, like citing your sources properly and how to think historically while you're working on your video game. So basically, my hope is that this tutorial series is going to walk you through everything you need to be successful in learning how to use Twine to make.
So I'll actually move forward.
So if you would read this. So I've already made a game in Twine about samurai debt.
So she's
before you
showing the
start
game she has
tutorial
created.
series, it might be a good idea if you have time to play this game first, just to get a sense of what kind of game you could make in Twine that is historically accurate. And if you are in the Age of Samurai class, this game is very relevant to what you're studying because it is about the indebtedness of the samurai class in the Tokugawa period and some of the ways they dealt with their economic difficulties, what options were available to them. So basically this game just kind of gives you a sense of what you can do in Twine if you were going to maybe take this a little bit further than what is required. This is supposed to show you kind of the full extent of what you can do. So it might be a little bit more complicated than what you end up making, and that's totally okay. So you can find this game, hopefully Dr. Clulo will show you in class or link it in the syllabus, but you can find it on itch.io. This is the hyperlink if you want to use that to get here. So on this page, you'll be able to play the game in your browser. In the next video, I'm going to play the game a little bit with you guys and show you my thought process for how I designed it and how I thought. You can also see how to get there.
Okay.
A file, and I'll see the
Yes,
file.
Arun, thank you. Thank you. Yes. This video is explaining some example. Yes. Okay.
So there is a better way. I will show you how to play this game. One minute.
Okay.
Just show that one. Just show how Twine works.
He mentioned. Okay. So Professor, like this is the website of Haley Price, where we could actually see the game she has created. And one of this is actually the game Death and Taxes, Death in the Tokugawa Samurai period. And this is the Twine game we are actually we were talking about.
Okay.
So if you are actually trying to run the game, we'll start like this. Death and Taxes in the Tokugawa period. And you will start from here. So it's you are the samurai. So you have to use your keyboard to cursor to move the samurai to downwards. And when you reach certain location, you have to deal with certain questions. Samurai during Edo period were largely an urban-based bureaucratic elite. So it's an introduction about who you are, who is the player.
The major idea behind all of this is to create games that run by anyone, right? It's not to say that one without the skills in computer science are being like put aside or anything. That's not the idea at all. But in places where affording high-end graphics or high-end internet services is an issue, these kind of tools become very important. So that's the idea behind game creation tools like Twine or even another tool called Bitsy.
So you can see the character is actually moving forward, and I will actually reach you a point. Okay, so it's actually calling the current monthly expenses. So the summary is having the expenses of 55.96 yen, and so you don't get paid for 6 months. And when you move forward, like, so I will show you the point of when the samurai has to deal with multiple questions. So this is the first level. First level is actually, the question is, you need to revise your family budget. The samurai has to revise his family budget, but first you have the funeral cost to worry about. Your father was an honorable man, and it is your duty as his son to ensure he has an honorable funeral. So your father, who was a samurai, has died, and you have to like give him a proper funeral, but you don't have money for that. And how will you actually find the money? And you paid 60 monme for the funeral, and the finance has increased. Pride cost is this gate again. So like, how will you sustain again for the coming months? You have to feed your family, and these are the options. So one option is to, will you do nothing? You can do it, nothing and move forward. The next option is will you sell your sword? Next option is like, will you start a handcraft business? Will you like start being a samurai and like enter into business and get profits? Next option is like, will you move to the countryside? By moving into countryside, you will be having a simple life. You won't be spending much. Next is actually, will you start selling your things, the things you actually keep pride on? Will you take loan? Will you revise a family budget? So if I choose that, I can move forward. And it's actually like, it's actually go like this. So the level will increase so and so, and will reach a situation where you will win or lose. The losing is actually death. I will actually like request you to like play this game once, and I think you will get like, you'll like the game.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
That is an example of the studying and learning some the Edo period, the samurai's life and the family support system. But maybe this kind of education game system is the maybe several kinds. That system is only the knowledge understanding
Yes.
and knowledge learning. But the other type has a skill, for example, the mathematical calculation skill or the English reading skill, speaking skills, spelling skill, or something. The language skill is also the another type of skills. So that is very different type. So how do you think about the different type studying?
Yes, sir. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, so what we have seen is just like, it's a knowledge game. So it's actually like imbibing knowledge to students who want to know more about real samurai history and samurais in Tokugawa period. But as you mentioned, if you are trying to learn skills like mathematical skills or grammatical skills, you need like better tools, better games. So it's more like how to create a better module. So Twine would be enough if you have better idea and better design. So Twine has multiple possibilities, but if you're actually, so as a digital humanities scholar, we have to like explore the possibilities and come with the better ideas to create something like, as you mentioned, which will actually help to improve the skills of the students. So as like students and researchers in the area, we are actually trying to learn more about how to create these type of games particularly to improve skills of the students by considering the ethics and the logic behind students and how students learn. So it's an area of like where we should actually improve ourselves and we should actually grow. So we were not able to find like a very well-known digital humanities projects who have created like game for educational skills, as you have mentioned.
Yes, yes. It means how to create that kind of game, education game is your the interest and the topic to study or
Yes, sir.
explore more. It means some kind of design principle or something you want to get to the for this kind of the several kinds of the type of education game. You want to consider about the some more general rule you want to find. But
Yes, sir,
not only
absolutely.
the application development, some kind of application development is a type of this kind of samurai life or some other historical knowledge understanding is a one application example you can show. But more higher level, you want to find some the general principle or some general design principle you want to find more. This is your purpose of your study. Is it right?
So yeah, actually, like yes, sir. Like in a way, like we have to like look for a general audience. So students will be like learning who will be learning phonemes, but in India. So in Indian context, like we have to take in consideration like their cultural significance too. So we will only be able to create modules which are actually appropriate to Indian culture and which are actually matching the Indian language, Indian English. So that would be a like so it should be like somewhat very curated for Indian English students, and it's not for a bigger audience. Bigger audience means like it's not for a like big student. It's only for elementary students. So they're actually small students, so we don't have to create a very complex game, as I believe. So it should be like easier for children to game for any beginner who has not played game before, and in that way they should be able to understand the language and phonemes. And as like very complex games, it's not just for entertainment, so we cannot create a I think like creating a very technical or like fantasy game is actually uh, very economical, which we won't be able to like do currently. We have to create something which actually fit our budget, and it's actually very interesting for students to learn. So design is absolutely an important area which we should focus on.
Hi, okay, good. Thank you for your answering.
Thank you, sir.
Hashimoto Sensei, do you have some more additional questions or comments?
Thank you for your explanations. So now it's okay. So we can
Thanks.
accept the questions from other students, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, how about students? The student have some questions? Hi. Kakami-san, please.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. So in the beginning video, it is mentioned that some sensors should be used for application for learning. So how do you think, how do you activate this information for your application or your work?
Okay, so I believe you are actually talking about like selecting the references, like the best references for creating a game historically, making it historically accurate. Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I would say like it's a like very good question. Like how could we actually find the better source, like more reliable source? It's actually very concerning or academic question. So it's an important like area we should focus on. So I believe the answer would be like focusing on well-established the studies published in well-established journals like Scopus or in Cuban journals. So focus on like the papers with the best impact factor, and papers are which are only published by expert in that area, and at least like published in like which are having like Q1 value. So I think like that would be an answer which would suffice.
Yes, so I think I agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for Q&A. And how about Another question? Other questions? Hi, Hishin, please provide some question.
Okay, so because I think for the education there have be some like basic education, basic knowledge which will be more easier for learning. For example, learn the English words, but there will be still some more complex logics. For example, some sentences and some logics between the words. And so how do you planning maybe in future for those more complex English education?
Do you want to say only?
Okay. Okay. So right now we have been, yes, as you said, we have been just focusing on basic English.
Barun, yes, yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes. So yeah. So as you said, like right now, our content is a little basic in terms of phoneme learning, where students learn, certain words with the starting sounds. But as the level goes on, we are trying different mechanics as well. For example, if we have to include an entire word within one sentence, so we are trying to like include different interactions such as like dragging across the screen, dragging the entire tab word across the screen or something like that. So it just won't be one sound or initial letter at that time, so it will be like entire words at that time. So we for now we just have interactions in terms of tapping, but we are also have in mind for the future other kind of interactions like dragging and rapid tapping and sliding and so on. So yeah, that I think that would be my answer.
So for Haitian's question, like I would like to say, like, so the game will be having like multiple levels. So I think Haitian was asking about like, are we only focusing on very basic areas, or are we not moving to complex or very important part of grammar? So like, we are actually focusing on elementary school students primarily. So we have to start from the very basic part. So if as the student like improve, the level will also improve. So it's from like very basic to advanced level growing. Only if you pass a certain level, you will be able to move forward. So like in the most game logic, I think most of the game actually like follows this principle of like start from the basic and move like to the advanced level.
So we are also exploring difficulty levels, as Arun said, and so we have one is adaptive difficulty, and within adaptive difficulty you have both static and dynamic. So static is something where right from the start you try to find out their levels of learning, and using the scores from that first level you put them on a certain level, right? But dynamic is something that would happen in real time, and some of the educational games that we have been studying so far, some of the literature review that we have done so far has included both static and dynamic ways of finding difficulty levels for a particular student, so that there is individualized learning. So yeah, that's good.
Okay. You
Yeah,
are
okay, thank you.
taking this kind of the application. Firstly, the Indian, the elementary school student English, and also you are considering about the the one important point is interface, which kind of interface you will use, and also the difficulty level designing, the from basic to the advanced levels content designing is a very important. But from this kind of studies, I hope you can find some design rule or principle or some general guideline to create another application, another target, to another skill or another target, some kind of the rule or guideline. If you can take it's very good the research project maybe becomes. this is a comment and suggestion to you.
Absolutely, sir. Like we keep in mind.
Okay, okay. Thank you. From other students, do you have some question? Some student has some question or something? Almost do you have some question? So,
Can somebody
Arun,
has raised hand? Like
yeah, Arun,
somebody has raised hand.
someone raise hand.
Yes. Tatsushi.
誰 Who?
Must have.
No.
Okay. なんか、じゃあ、finally, Arun, Barun, finally you have some mentions, the closing summary mentions, please.
We didn't.
You can
Close.
say something, the summary talk, conclusion talk about your talks. The なんか final impact, what you want others remember up from your talk today.
Okay. So from my part, I would like to say that it's actually like ongoing project, and the game has primarily two parts. So it's actually like the primary part would be like game design, and how, as Professor Matsumoto said, we should actually consider the design and the flow of the game. And the second part of the game would be on the public policy. So actually, we are actually like focusing on the use of the game. So the game should be used in schools, particularly like very schools with poor financial incentives and for government schools. So we have to consider like what the government, particularly in India and Japan, are actually like focusing on. What kind of technology are they actually introducing in the schools? So based on the demands of the governments and the policy like hitherto has came, so like we have to know what the government is actually trying to focus on and what the government is actually trying to improve in the education system. So in India, like there were different education committees like Kaka Kalekar Commission, like the Lakshmana Swamy Mudaliar Commission, and there were actually multiple education commissions. So all of these commissions were actually recommending different use of technologies and what kind of technologies they should use. So when it comes to the states, like I come from a part of India which is called Kerala, and my friend Barun come from a part of India called Tamil Nadu. So we are studying in a state called Rajasthan. So all of these states have different educational policies, and the government has different demands for educational tools in the schools. So we are actually considering what are the common demands and how can we fit our game to be executed in the schools of that states. So we have to also see the practical side of the game, and it's not about just like creating a game. So we also have a very long-term plan. The long-term plan is to make the game useful for students, and it should be helping the students to learn English language and in their like future. So we are actually trying to help elementary students to learn the basics structure of English through phonemes, and we will be advancing into the other languages too, not just English, after we perfect one language.
Okay, so with that being said, as Arun focuses on public policy, I kind of focus on the area of design, and some of the things that we have been looking at is basic UI UX principles. An example for that is the Gestalt principle, where you have around, I think, 10 to 12 principles, where basic UI interfaces, like if you're exiting the app, so should the background be dim, something as basic as that, we would like to implement that. So those basic kind of like interfaces, they are not there in some of the educational games that we have explored so far, at least for now. Right, so those basic UI UX principles. Along with that, we have also been looking at design factors such as whether to include animations or not, because what happens is we are dealing with two diverse groups with different cognitive developments. Yes, so ages 6 to 8 has a different cognitive development. Ages 8 to 12 has a different cognitive development. So will they be able to perceive something as minute as clicking a button and that gets animated? We are studying on that as well. And also we are also exploring a digital assistant, not an AI assistant, but in terms of a mascot. And would that like add something more to the design of the game is yet to be seen. And currently we haven't designed a mascot, but we are looking in the context of Rajasthan, where we'll first deploy the game. So Rajasthan has a very interesting history with puppets, and our mascot would be designed around the puppets is what we have in our mind. So,
Thank you. Arun is focusing about the policy, public
Yes.
policy, because of the, I understand that India has very, very different cultural background people are living, and the regional difference is very, very so wide. So therefore, the different policy, different knowledge and different background knowledge, and also the different the education style or something is very, very different. So therefore, you want to make some good the system to study. So therefore, you are taking care about the governmental policy or the supporting or something, but what also the cultural background differences also you have to consider. And the Barun is also the thinking about the content. So for example, some character is important and the puppet-like character or something is important. So therefore, this kind of one like a symbol or something is very important to, in many various kind of background people can participate at or focus on that content. To do that kind of the character or the symbol is important, you want to say maybe. Yes, that is my considerations and the findings from your talk. Yes, the time is up.
Not able to hear.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Professor, can you hear us?
You want to say more? Arun, you want to say more? Please. Barun, can you?
Hello, sir.
Yes? You want to say?
So there was some. Hello.
Hello? It's okay.
Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
Hey, you want to say more?
No,
You
sir. No,
want
sir.
to-
Like there was some
Okay.
audio
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. Thank you, Hashimoto Sensei. Thank you for participant for joining to today's talks, and thank you for this kind of discussions. And that's close for today's talk. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Closing this talk. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.
Thank you,
See
Sensei.
you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.